Hey everybody, in today's video I'm going to share with you a new template I've created for the men's Olympic football tournament in Paris starting next month. And so this has a list of all the matches that are going to be played, and so you can keep track of the scores, make predictions with your friends, set scoring rules, and compare the results to see who's made better predictions. So the key thing to note when you're entering these values is that for any scores, you just put the number of the first team followed by a colon and then the number by the second team. So in this case, Uzbekistan winning 1-0 against Spain and so on. So if I were to copy these results down, you'll see that the standings will automatically update, and that'll set up the knockout stages as well. And then based on your selections, you have the first, second, and third place standings in there as well. So what you can do is track this if you just want to track the actual results to see what the standings are going to look like. So I do have factored in a lot of different tiebreakers in here, but there are always, there's always the possibility of a remote situation where, may go to a really remote tiebreaker, which I haven't factored in here. So you can also override the teams in case the standings are off. So for example, if I copy these teams here in Group A and I want the reverse order, so let's say New Zealand first and then the United States, then France, then Guinea, then I could override them by setting 1, 2, 3, 4. And then by doing that, I've overridden those standings even though my calculations shows something different. So if worst comes to worst, you can override it there just to force the standings to how they should be. And you can also track teams that you want to follow in the tournament by setting up a watch list here. So for example, France and Argentina, they played in the 2022 World Cup. So if I want to track where those teams are playing, I could type in France and Argentina, and those matches will highlight any match that includes those teams. So if you wanted to follow certain teams, it's easy to do. So just add to this list and it'll highlight the matches for you. You can also adjust the times to your specific time zone. So if you're on the East Coast in North America, you might use -4. If you're on the West Coast, might use -7. And if you do that, that'll update to your local time. So when these matches are set to start based on your time. Now, once you get to the knockout stages, there's the potential for extra time and penalties. So if, for example, I filled in all these values as 1-0, and now my next matches populate, and let's say we've got New Zealand and Argentina, and they're tied, then I'll have a block for extra time. So let's say they're still tied after extra time. Then it'll be a block for penalties I can enter in. And so you can fill in all that information based on the score. So if it's just a 1-0 score, no extra time needed, then you won't see that conditional formatting applied. So this allows you to put in more detail as far as how you expect that match to play out if you're making a prediction, or just to track the actuals. So that's how the main template works. I have 5 different player tabs for player 1 all the way through player 5. So this is where other people could make predictions, and it will tabulate their points for the points from the matches, if they've got the correct standings, if they predict the correct number of shootouts, if you want to track that as well. So there's an extra column here for the prediction points earned. So if you get it right, let's say you picked a 1-0 result throughout the way, then you'll earn points depending on the setup. So this can be set for multiple players. I've got 5 in here, but you can copy these tabs if you want more. There's scoring rules that you can set up. So for example, if you got the total number of goals right, excluding penalties, you get 2 points. If you got the correct result, whether it's a win by a certain team or a draw, then you get 3 points. If it's the correct score, excluding penalties, you could set a scoring of 5. If you get the correct score for the penalties, let's say I've set it to 8 as a default. If you got the correct team in the elimination stage, so for example, if you predict France and Argentina to make it to the semifinals, then you would get points for that, even though, let's say, you may not get the result right or the score right. So it gives you a way to still earn points, even if your prediction is somewhat wrong, or if you get the matchups wrong, you could still get points that way. So I'll give you a lot of flexibility in setting up the rules and the point system to however you want. And then lastly, there is a tab for the scoring results. So here I've got player 1, player 2, player 3, player 4, player 5. So if you obviously want to assign more customized names to this, let's say player 1 is Mike, you can change it on here, and then you just have to go back to the scoring results tab and change it here. Now, one thing I've noticed with Google Sheets is sometimes there's a bit of a lag in the calculation. Even though I've changed it on here, it's not airing out as it should be. I'm using an indirect function, so it's looking for that tab name. So it hasn't updated right away. So what you may want to do is delete it first, and then type in the tab, and now it's updated. So if you get an error message or it looks like it's not updating, just delete it first and then replace it with the value that should be there. So just a little quirky thing sometimes with Google Sheets is that it doesn't necessarily update right away. If I change this back to player 1, that's what you should get because it doesn't find that sheet. So if I change this back to player 1, whoops, and it needs to be spelled exactly the same way, so no extra spaces or anything like that. So see, I've changed it to player 1, it still gives me that red error saying it hasn't found that. So if I delete that, type in player 1 again, that should fix it. So just a little thing to watch out for. If you do change the names, that's one issue that you may come up with. But other than that, that's how this template works. You can use it just to track the actuals, or if you want to track the matches that you want to watch, or set up predictions with you and your friends or your office, whatever the case may be. I've only created this right now just for the men's soccer tournament, but if there's a lot of interest, then I can create other ones as well, just because some of them have different formats. They're not all identical. So for example, like the women's soccer tournament or for the basketball tournaments, could potentially set those up as well. But only if there's a fair bit of interest. So if you do like these templates, please make sure to leave a like and comment below if there are specific ones that you'd want to see. And also be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.